Welcome to the Unearthed Man Podcast, the journey to becoming a conscious man, hosted by Milvo. Hey all, Milvo here and welcome to episode 9 of the Unearthed Man Podcast. The title of this podcast is The Good, the Bad, the Happy and the Sad, and I'll be able to get into more details about that as we go along. It's been 3 weeks since I've done a solo podcast. Just want to again thank the amazing Reggie Farmer for his insights over the last 2 episodes. I've listened back over myself because when you do the interview you're a bit caught in the moment, but to go back again and re-listen to some of the pearls of wisdom that Reggie put out there was just phenomenal. So again, thanks Reggie. The other thing that I really want to kick off is to say happy birthday to my beautiful, gorgeous, stunning, creative, supportive wife, Jackie. The podcast comes out on the 6th of August, which is exactly the same day as her birthday. So I'm here to celebrate everything that is about this beautiful, amazing, wonderful woman. She's had her challenges along the way. We've been together now for 24 years. We've worked together through many challenges. The good thing that I love about her is her ongoing willingness to dig deep, find what's been happening back in her life, and she's also on this amazing conscious journey. So to be able to share that with your soul partner is something amazing. So to you, my beautiful darling, I hope you have a beautiful, wonderful, happy birthday, and it brings you everything that you're looking for. So there's a couple of things out of the way. As everyone knows, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So keep jumping in and listening in as we go along. There seems to be a nice run of listeners popping in on the Unearthed Man podcast, which I'm really enjoying seeing how that's going along. So again, I hope that you're getting out of it what is coming out of it for you. Everyone will take something different out of this podcast. So thanks a lot for listening in. So as I said, the title of the podcast this week is The Good, the Bad, the Happy and the Sad. So maybe let's start in the happy point. And to point, I've already covered that off. The happy thing coming up, which is today, which is to do with my wife's birthday. As I said, she's such an important person to me in my life. She gives me the support. She gives me the time to be able to jump on and do these podcasts. I do these on a weekend, so it's taking time out of a weekend where we're both working during the week, but she still allows me that space and time to do something that I'm passionate about. And being able to find someone who can do that for you just really makes you happy within yourself that you've got that beautiful supportive partner. And I just love spending the time with her. The other thing we're working through is, we've acknowledged that over a period of time we've had a level of codependence where we've both probably relied a lot on each other. And where we're at the moment is going through this beautiful journey of finding our own passions and our own levels of independence about what we're doing. For me, it's the podcast and running a program. I'm 4 weeks into running my first freedom program. I got 3 beautiful men have signed into that, and we're on an amazing journey. So, I'm down a new path for myself, and I'm loving that. And my Jackie is now actually running and setting up her own business, doing pantry or holistic life organisation is probably the best way of putting it. So it's an amazing journey for her because she's going to the house and she's helping people declutter physically, so pantries, laundries, but not just sort of decluttering. It's also decluttering out all the chemical elements that sit in there. It's decluttering the energy. So she's taking a complete holistic view of that, and that's an amazing thing to do. So something, if anyone's interested in, touch base with me because I'm certainly happy to reach out and let Jackie know you're interested. So there's a lot of happiness that's happening in our life. One of the other things, last episode I did solo was feeling lost. And since that point of time, I've rediscovered where I'm at. Part of that was, understanding that you can't actually be lost. You are just present. And if you know where you are and you just acknowledge where you are, you can't be lost. And that's what I've actually done. So in the last 3 weeks, I've rediscovered exactly where I'm at, which is where I'm meant to be. I've also kicked into my morning routine. So apart from the getting out of bed and allowing all the build up in the body. So basically having a good shit, to be honest, and getting rid of all the urine out of my system. The next thing I actually now do is hop in and have a cold shower for 2 minutes, and I've just found that to be the most amazing thing I've ever done. One of my self beliefs was that I don't like the cold, but to be able to stand there and just breathe through for 2 minutes of a cold shower just invigorates me, gets my body up and running, and I just feel so energized just by doing that simple exercise. After that, I then have 200 ml of a greens mix, so I get my healthy greens into me. I'm plant-based anyway, but that just adds on extra vitamins and minerals into my system. I have this red Ningxia juice. It's full of antioxidants and full of, again, good healthy vitamins and minerals. So I have that. I have my water, and then I'm up and running. And then post that, I go and take the dog for a walk for 30 minutes. So I have this amazing morning routine now that by the time I'm actually ready to settle down at my desk and kick off a day's worth of work, I'm already up and I'm already about, the blood's flowing and my system holistically is up and running. So that's been great. On top of that, now I've signed myself into, a couple of episodes ago, we had Sam Lewis that I interviewed. So Sam's running Initiation to Self he talked about. I've decided to sign into that. That starts this Sunday, which would be whatever that happens to be, the 3rd of August or 2nd of August. So I'm jumping in on that, and that's a 6-week journey of initiation back to self. So it's really being able to constantly dive back into me, who I am, seeing where I exist in relation to the wider world. I have joked with my wife that after the 6 weeks, she better be happy to start to live with a monk. But I do feel that the more I'm going down this path, the more I just want to be in tune with who I am on any given minute and on any given day. And by being in tune with that, I'm just loving and appreciating where I fit in the cosmos, in the universe, and the role that I'm actually playing. And just being true to myself constantly, true to who I am, but continually having respect for others and understanding where others are, not being judgmental, just being open to we're all on our own journey, at our own pace, at our own time, and just learning to just sit and love being in that space. So there's a lot of traditional or ancient practices that Sam's going to teach us, along with some meditation practices. So, on top of my normal routine, being able to learn more of a spiritual meditation and manifestation and abundant meditation, I'm really looking forward to doing that, because I feel that for me, that over the next few years, that's going to take me, by trusting in the universe and trusting in what's going to go around me and trusting that I am on the right journey, that'll take me to many wonderful, beautiful, abundant places, and I'm just super looking forward to that. So that sort of covers off the happy elements of what's been going on. The sad element. So I'm just going to touch in on that at this point in time. The sad element is on the same day that this podcast comes out and on the same day that my beautiful wife has her birthday, my dad passed away. So 2 years to the day to launch this podcast, 6th of August. So 6th of August 2018, my dad's soul decided that it had finished its journey here in his human body, in his human skin, and decided that was a day that was time for it to move onto its next journey. I've been working through what that looks like for me over the last few years. I've had varying emotions up and down. I'm trying to work out whether I'm just being too cold or whether I've been not allowing emotion to come out. But on my very first podcast, or the one where I told my story, clearly there's a lot of emotion that was still attached to my dad passing on, and not being able to chat to him, although we didn't chat very often. But just when you did, those moments were special. But where I'm at now is that I have a greater understanding about where we all are in life, and therefore where my dad was in his life. And I look at it from this aspect. I chose my dad, and he chose me. And out of that, our souls decided that we needed to spend 50 odd years together to both teach ourselves the lessons that we needed to learn to be able to move on to wherever it is that we go once we exit our human skin, our human body. So I'm grateful because I believe that I did get all the lessons that I needed to get from my father. And I'm positive that with the challenges that I gave my father as a young guy growing up and, being a bit, not anti-authority, but certainly pushing back on him and us having a very interesting relationship, reasonable amount of conflict in there, but also a reasonable amount of love, that he was able to get what he needed from me being with him, and that allowed him to learn what he had to learn during this time on earth. And so he's now gone off to whatever the next journey is for him. His soul will take all these lessons away and he'll move on. So as much as I feel sad that my father is not around anymore, I also celebrate the fact that his soul got out of this life what it needed to get out of, and it is moving on now to the next journey that it needs to go on. And who knows, at some point in time, if the universe feels that he and I haven't learnt the lessons that we needed to from this lifetime, that we may on another lifetime join up again in a different form and continue to take ourselves on that same journey. So the sad part is that my dad's not here, and I think he'd be intrigued to have these type of conversations. He was definitely a religious man, so he certainly did believe in God and did believe in heaven. And so for me to be talking more about soul and spiritual, I think it'd be a good thing for us to have had that conversation. So, Dad, I do miss you. I did love you, and I'm hoping that you're on the journey that you're meant to be in your next life. And if we get a chance to cross paths on the next life, that I'm looking forward to that to happen. So thank you. So that's happy and sad, the good and the bad. Let me talk to the bad aspect of what happened. As everyone knows, I'll be fairly open and honest. So I had a situation where I absolutely allowed my ego to truly kick in, and I wasn't being true to myself. And when I say bad, this isn't me beating up, because it's just a recognition that that's exactly what took place. So to give some context, I received a great contract extension. I've been working with some amazing, beautiful people, and moving in to do the next 12 months. I was probably feeling low and flat, haven't had a lot of holidays, not a lot of time to re-energize. Again, this is a story, and we shouldn't be talking about the story, because we all have our stories. But emotionally, I was probably down and flat, and probably wasn't fully energized where I needed to be, and I had lost the ability to express a lot of that emotion to other people, and I also lost one of the key learnings, which is the willingness to actually ask for help and willingness to seek help from others. So what happened was I received a phone call. This all took place within about a 72-hour period. Effectively received two phone calls, two job offers. In one instance, was going to have an interview, but a friend that I've known for 20 years, a work colleague, declined the opportunity to interview me because he felt I wasn't the right person, which I found interesting. And so there was about how to handle rejection. And then the second one, it got all the way, finished the interview, and then it came down to the point that they decided to effectively reduce the budget that was being offered by 40%. So what lured me was definitely the money. And timing's interestingly. So the Sunday before all this, I'd actually sat down and done my budgets. And again, in the world of feeling lost, I talked about my not being great in relation to the financial aspect, and not thinking abundantly from a financial point of view. So I finally decided to put my big boy pants on and sat down, did all my budget, understood all my money coming in and out, and and went through that, and super proud, because it was one of those emotional items that I hadn't cleaned out of my closet, and we finally done it. All of a sudden, off the back of that, then you receive two job offers, both with around about a 40% income raise, and knowing I'd done my financials, knowing I hadn't shredded my financials well, you get a 40% offer in income. My ego kicked in and said, this will solve your problem. Just go and sign up for these jobs. As it turned out, I missed out on both those roles, and that was fine because, again, you have to go through a process of understanding rejection, how that works. And for me, the rejection was about understanding that in both situations, they weren't rejecting me. They were rejecting the offer that was on the table. They were rejecting the financial offer. They were rejecting maybe even my skills offer that was on the table. But true who I am, they couldn't have rejected me. So I went through that. I reconciled with the fact that that was okay. I did a video. I put that out on social media, and my boss, who's also a very close friend, who I have deep respect for, rang me up and said, "Hey, dude, just seen your video. Are we going okay? Like, are you doing all right, mate?" And so, I was honest with him, gave him the story. He said, "Can we do anything for you?" And I said, "No, mate, I'm all good. I just let my ego get ahead of myself. I'm good." And so we went from there. A few days later, his boss, who I've also worked with, a beautiful lady, one of the most powerful, strong, loving, caring, intelligent people I've ever met with in my life. Unfortunately, she gets put down a bit because people struggle with really strong, powerful women. I just adore her. I think she's amazing. She rang me up and she basically got on there, apologised that she hadn't recognised for a job I've done, apologised for maybe not touching base early enough, and effectively pretty much advised that the new role I was taking on, that they saw me as being equivalent to two other people as opposed to being reporting into them. Effectively offered me a seat at the table, at the leadership table, and out of the blue also offered me a significant pay rise. And so what comes out of all that? The first thing was that I allowed my ego to kick in and take over rather than me fronting into an area of my life that I hadn't been controlling. Again, I tried to take the easy path out. Now, the universe pretty much come back to me by not allowing me to take either of those jobs, came back to me and said, no, not today, mate. You need to do the hard yards. You need to learn how to manage your money and you need to learn to manage your finances. So get on with it. So thank you, universe. The one thing that I pride myself in, I've always been proud of, is that ever since I've been running as a contractor, I have never, ever actually set my daily rate, and I've never asked for a pay rise. I've always believed, and even when I was not a contractor, when I was working, I've always believed in the fact that take care of yourself, learn the skills, work well, respect others, do your job properly, let your performance speak for itself. Make sure you have a good image. Make sure those people about that image you're exposed to all those people. So it basically is what's called a pie model. So performance, image, and exposure. And if you do all that well, that the money will take care of itself. And so it's interesting that I've never thought myself as an abundant thinker, but purely running on that model of always perform, always have a good image, and make sure that the people who are seeing that image are the right people seeing the image, and the rest will take care of itself. To a degree, that is pure abundant thinking. And off the back of that abundant thinking, I let myself down by chasing money. And so when the universe said, no, don't chase it, then I reconciled back to my true values and said, no, I'm not chasing money. So when my boss rang and asked, can we do anything for you? I never asked for a pay rise from him because in my view, that was going against my values and I was making sure I was going to stick to that. And then when, again, my boss's boss rang up and offered me the money, it was I'm very overwhelmed. I felt very emotional. I actually, to be honest, I held back tears whilst having the conversation with her. She wouldn't be aware of that because it landed with me at that point in time that when you do stick to your true values, stick to what you know is true in your heart, and just allow the universe to take care of itself, it'll take care of you and what's going on. So for me, when I stuck true to I'm not here to chase the money, perform, make sure you got a good image, make sure those people that need to see what you're doing are seeing it, and you're getting the right level of exposure. The money will take care of itself. In this instance, again, the money has taken care of itself. So that's sort of the good and the bad all wrapped into one. So the bad element of was I stepped away from my own morals. I stepped away from who I was. I stepped away from the person who I held true to myself, and I had a lapse. The good was by recognizing that, recognizing what the universe did for me, I'm now in a position where, the universe has come and actually paid me back. And I think that's just an amazing place to be in. So that sort of summarizes up a little bit about me, a little bit about what's happened in the last few weeks. The only other things that have taken place, which I want to touch on, is in relation to my relationship with Facebook and what's happening currently in the current climate, to do with COVID, to do with decisions globally, to do with what people would consider conspiracy theories or alternate theories. So child trafficking rings, pedophilia, where we're at with COVID. I've allowed myself also to get too emotionally engaged and too emotionally involved in what is just my opinion versus other people's opinions. And I'm finding that, that again, the ego's kicking in, where I have a trigger that someone puts up a post or someone puts up a statement, or I feel it's directed at me, that I trigger and I feel I have to jump back in. Recently, I'll probably 90% of the time I haven't jumped back in, but there's still 10% of the time I'm jumping back in. So I'm working through that at the moment. I'm working through not being triggered. I'm working through understanding that what those people are putting out on Facebook is true for them. And that's okay, because that's part of their journey and it's part of where they're at. It's got nothing to do with me. It's not an attack on me. I can't control what they put out. If I disagree and I go back to them, it's just my opinion against their opinion. And the reality is there is no truth in the world at the moment. There is just a multitude of variations of opinions between the scientists, between the non-scientists, between the governments, between governmental parties, between departments. There is just multitude of opinions formed on variations of facts that exist. And so to get caught up in my own opinions and going back and putting comments against other people's posts, again, is just no different to what they're doing. They just have an opinion. I have an opinion. And in the world of where there's no wrong or right, me trying to convince or change their opinion is effectively me feeling that I'm more superior to what they are. And again, so that's an area I'm very consciously aware of at the moment. And so to that point, my intent moving forward is I'm not commenting back on anyone's posts at all, good or bad, unless I see that they're putting up like a positive message post to do with consciousness, life, how to live free, how to be true to yourself. So anyone who puts up posts around those elements, then I'll probably jump in, and the comment will be just a supportive comment. So I think that's something for us all to be aware of, is that at the moment we're all debating based on our own self-beliefs, based on our own conditioning, based on our own interpretations of the facts that have been put forward to us, most likely second and third hand. So the message for anyone out there is just ignore it, drop deep into your own heart, understand who you are, understand that anything that you're putting back is just your version of a group of facts that probably most likely aren't true, and just chill out and just relax in it all. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'll be pumping out a lot more of just quotes, my own quotes. I'm going to start to trust myself that my quotes are as good as anyone else's quotes out there. They'll have meaning. I'll start to put them out there as well, and just drop into this new beautiful getting back to myself space, and picking up on the lessons that the universe is actually handing to me, which is stay true to yourself, stay true to who you are, Stay true to your own, not egotistical belief system, but your actual own ancestral, deep value system that's been handed down to you. It's the reason why you're on the earth at the moment, the reason why you're in your skin suit at the moment, because your soul has been put here for a purpose. Listen to your soul. Follow what your soul tells you is the right thing to be doing and is the true thing to be doing, and then we'll all can move forward from there. So that's probably some key message on that. The other one is there are two groups that I'm involved in on Facebook. One's called Who's Your Daddy? A beautiful group for men who have just had the kids. And so I'm actually enjoying being on that, although, again, there are some challenges on that because, again, it's an opinion-based Facebook group. The other one I'm in is actually called Victorian Brotherhood, and this one really pains me emotionally because I see this is a men's only group. It's got about 8,000 Victorian men in it, and the pain I see every single day that a lot of those men are going through, the emotional pain, the psychological pain, and the spiritual pain. And what troubles me is I don't know how to help them. I want to be able to help all those beautiful men to understand that everything they're going through is driven from just codependence and a lack of their own self-worth that came from somebody else. It wasn't them. It's never been their story. It's a group of lies that they've been told as they've been growing up about who they are, who they should be, and how they should be operating, because it's not who they truly are. And I'm just trying to work through a way of how can I help these men to understand if you just learn to be true to yourself, learn to dig deep in yourself, and learn to love yourself and not externalize, but just be truly happy with who you are, then you'll discover that you're the most beautiful man that's walked this earth and that you have a beautiful life and a beautiful opportunity for just being you. And so I'm working through that process because I would love to do what I can to help these beautiful men just understand that they're as beautiful as the tree, the flower, the bird, the squirrel, whatever's out there, and that they deserve to have true happiness. So for me, that's going to wrap up this episode. Thank you for joining in, and look forward to next week when we have episode 10 with the amazing Darabet. Peace out. Love and